Hello, and thank you for joining us for week two of ADHD Awareness Month. My name is Eleni, and I am a coach here in New York. And today we're going to be talking about ADHD and parenting. And there's really two sort of aspects to today's topic, parenting a child with ADHD and also parenting when you are the one with ADHD. We know that often when parents seek a diagnosis for their child, they might wind up recognizing some symptoms or some traits that resonate. So there are really two ways to sort of think about parenting. My colleague, Megan Schrade, also a coach here in the United States, will be talking with us a bit more about both. So, Megan.
Yes. As you were talking, I was hearing, that definitely applied to me. So when my son was early on in school, we were recognizing some symptoms of ADHD. I began checking off the boxes for myself as well. And it was really a journey together. I got a later in life diagnosis, and around the same time as my son was being diagnosed. So that I think that sometimes is common with parents. Back when we were young, ADHD wasn't as commonly diagnosed, especially in girls. So it is something that is common to kind of go through this diagnosis with our children. And there's definitely, those two aspects. We're parenting a child with ADHD and we're parenting with ADHD ourselves. And that definitely can bring up all sorts of things. Getting that diagnosis later in life kind of propelled me into the field of coaching. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about some things that I see very commonly in my practice when I do coach a lot of children and families. And I tend to see when talking with parents of children with ADHD, that maybe there's not an emphasis on where they are in their developmental stage. We want to think of things in terms of their stage, their developmental stage, and not their age. Because with children with ADHD, we see a maturity lag that can be 3 to 5 years. So they're 3 to 5 years behind their same age peers developmentally. So it's important to remember that as parents and adjust our expectations accordingly. We want to ask ourselves, what is reasonable to expect of our children for their developmental stage, for where they're at? And what supports can we put in place that will help them meet age-appropriate expectations while they're developing and kind of coming up to speed with that maturity lag. So we want to think of, they may not be ready to meet this expectation. How can we support them and bring them up to speed?
That's a really important distinction, Megan, because it's, as we see so often, children at whatever age they are more often than not compared to their neurotypical peers. And, not everybody is sort of prepared to recognize what support they might need to stay there or to get there, as you said.
Absolutely. And our children are hearing these negative messages and they're forming those comparisons. So we want to hear what they're saying. We want to hear where it's difficult to meet those expectations and, talk with them about how they can be supported along the way. And that's where coaching can be, so important and helpful.
What would be your top tip as a parent with ADHD, sort of straddling parenting a child with ADHD? What would you tell your clients?
Um, One of the first things is to think about your own emotional regulation and where you are at, because all of these things tend to cause a lot of stress and strife in a family. When our kids are not meeting expectations, we're upset. We don't understand what's going on. There's miscommunication, and it causes this chaos. So we want to check as parents, we want to check in with ourselves emotionally, which is very difficult for any person with ADHD to do, to really look inward, check in with our bodies, take that pause, check in with our bodies. What am I needing so that I can stay present to help my child go through whatever it is they're going through?
You raise a great point because self-care for anyone, especially a parent that is most likely exhausted, is so important. And most of us know what parenting from that place of depletion can look like. And it's certainly not good, but certainly recognizing that we need a break or some space is an important first step to managing what goes on in our homes.
Right. And learning those things that can recharge ourselves or fill up our cups so that we're ready to help our children. That's an important process, and sometimes it takes time.
It certainly does. It certainly does. Well, Megan, thank you for bringing to light some dynamics in your home and with your clients that many of us will certainly recognize. And certainly as part of our week with ADHD and families, we hope you found this useful and hope to see you again tomorrow for our next topic. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.